Up to 85% of your Social Security benefits can become taxable, and it has nothing to do with the tax bracket that you might be thinking about. See, the IRS uses a separate formula that most retirees don't understand, and crossing that income threshold can cost you thousands. Before we break down that formula, we need to understand two foundational pieces. The first one is how you qualify for Social Security. Secondly, how your benefits are actually calculated. Because once you see how the system is structured and the tax rules, then the planning opportunities make a lot more sense. I'll walk you through key building blocks first, and then we'll get into the IRS formula and what you can do to stay in control of the tax impact. So let's get into it. Let's first discuss how long someone has to work before you can collect Social Security. Social Security is based on a credit system. You must earn 40 credits to qualify for retirement. You earn these credits based on your earned income. As of 2026, you earn 1 credit for each $1,890 of earned income. Now, earned income includes W-2 wages and wages that are subject to payroll taxes. Unearned income does not qualify. So unearned income would be things like interest income, dividend income, capital gains, and those types of income does not qualify as earned income, and you do not get credit for Social Security. You can earn a maximum of 4 credits per year, which means you need to work at least 10 years to become fully eligible for Social Security. Now, quick note, these credits stay on your Social Security record. Even if you change jobs or you have a gap in employment, you don't lose these credits. So if you acquire 5 years worth of credit and then you stop working for several years and then you acquire another 5 years of credit, that will still remain and you can still qualify under your Social Security record. Now that we've covered how to qualify for Social Security, let's discuss how benefits are calculated. Social Security looks at your 35 highest earning years. If you work less than 35 years, they don't just ignore those missing years, they plug in zeros. So fewer working years can significantly reduce your benefits. Next, your past earnings are adjusted for inflation. This is good news because it ensures that the income that you earned 20, 30 years ago is measured in today's wage terms. Once those 35 years are adjusted, Social Security averages them out to calculate what's known as your average index monthly earnings, also known as your AIME. From there, they apply a formula to your AIME to determine your base benefit. This amount is called your primary insurance amount, also known as your PIA. Now, your PIA, your primary insurance amount, is the amount that you would receive if you were to start getting benefits at full retirement age. Now let's get into the part that surprises a lot of people. How does the IRS determine whether your Social Security benefits are taxable? Just because you receive Social Security benefits doesn't mean that it's tax-free. A lot of people think that their Social Security is tax-free. It's actually not. The IRS uses something called a combined income method to determine whether your benefits are taxable. Your combined income is your AGI, and if you don't know what AGI is, watch my other video where I define what AGI is, plus any tax-exempt interest that you earn, think of municipal bonds, plus 50% of your Social Security benefits. This amount is then called your combined income. Once this combined income is calculated, it's compared to specific income thresholds based on your marital status. These income thresholds are different from regular tax brackets that you're probably aware of. Okay, now that we know how you earn Social Security benefits, how your benefits are calculated, and how the benefits are taxed, now let's go over the tax rate on Social Security, because as I mentioned, it's based on a different bracket than the ones that you're probably accustomed to. Your Social Security benefits can either be taxed can be either 0% taxable, 50% taxable, or 85% taxable. The IRS uses your combined income that we just went over and a threshold based on your marital status to determine how much of your benefits are actually taxable. I'll just use as an example someone who is married filing jointly. If your income is below $32,000, then 0% of your Social Security benefits are taxable. But if your income is between $32,000 and $44,000, then up to 50% of your Social Security benefits are taxable. And if your combined income is over $44,000, then up to 85% of your benefits are taxable. Now let's assume that your Social Security benefits were $10,000, but you still had other types of income, such as wages or interest income. If you were under the 0% tier, the entire $10,000 that you earned would be tax-free, would not be taxable, even though you had other income and interest or wages. If you're under the 50% tier, then only $5,000 of your $10,000 of Social Security benefits would be taxable. Remember, you still have to pay tax on that interest income or wages that you've earned that are separate. That's not part of your combined income. And if you're under the 85% tier, then $8,500, $8,500 of the $10,000 of Social Security benefits would be taxable to you. Now let's talk about some planning strategies to reduce the tax impact on your Social Security benefits. Now that you understand how Social Security is taxed, the big question becomes, what can you actually do to reduce that tax hit? As I previously mentioned, Social Security benefits become taxable when your combined income crosses a certain threshold. So here are some tactical strategies. Be intentional about when you collect Social Security. Even if you collect benefits while you're still working, your combined income may be high, which may cause your benefit to be taxable. Another thing you can do is manage your IRA and your 401k withdrawals carefully, because these two can increase your combined income and then cause your benefits to be more of your benefits to be taxable. Also, consider Roth IRA conversions really strategically, because if you do a Roth IRA conversion, that too can increase your combined income and also increase the taxation of your Social Security benefits. If you're 70 and a half or older, consider doing a qualified charitable distribution for all your charitable contributions. This entails taking money out of your IRA, that would be RMDs, your required minimum distribution, and giving it to a charity that you normally would give anyway. And if you're not familiar with a qualified charitable distribution, watch my other video I did where I dig deeper into that and see if it makes sense for you. Now, it's important to note that none of these strategies should be considered on a standalone basis, because while the taxes and investments are interrelated, they are super complicated. So you want to look at it from your own perspective and see if it makes sense for you before you apply any of these strategies to lower your combined income, to lower your taxation of your Social Security benefits. Understanding how Social Security is taxed isn't just about compliance, it's about keeping more of what you've earned. A small planning mistake can cause more of your benefits to become taxable than necessary. But with proper planning, you can smooth out your income, reduce surprises, and potentially lower your lifetime tax bill. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this video. If there's a topic you want me to cover or you have a question, be sure to include it in the comment section below.